This is really, really terrific news as we celebrate a Supreme Court victory for common sense. The Supreme Court limiting, and this is why it's so important, more than the issue of birthright citizenship. The reason this is such an astoundingly successful ruling is that this ruling is going to have sweeping implications for U.S. district courts. These rogue judges have just had their wings clipped in a major way by the High Court. Federal judges, as you know, have been attempting to block the Trump agenda. Over and over again, justices from the left, these are leftist, Democrat-appointed justices on the federal and the district levels, have been trying to subvert the executive actions taken by President Trump. Well, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that they've exceeded their authority. And the use of nationwide injunctions on the district court level are now being limited by the Supreme Court. So this is great news. There's just terrific, this is a celebration for some common sense. And this is what we've been hoping for, that the Supreme Court would come to the rescue. So many of you have emailed me and texted me and called the show to say, look, the Supreme Court's got to save us. And they have in a big way. So it's a major blow against the effort to use Article 14, rather for the 14th Amendment, to justify illegals giving birth on American soil. And more importantly, it curtails, restricts, inhibits these federal judges from being able to try to block the Trump administration. So great news. Great day to celebrate. And there are more Supreme Court decisions coming. Keep it right here on the Mike Gallagher Show for all of this breaking news. Welcome in. We got a lot to tackle today. Do you know it was 1 year ago today that Joe Biden's candidacy officially cratered? Hard to believe that it was 1 year ago today that Donald Trump and Joe Biden stood on that debate stage. Remember that debate? Remember when Joe Biden sounded and looked like hell? When everybody was like, holy moly, there's no way this guy has 4 more years in him. It's impossible. And Donald Trump had the proverbial coup de grace. He had the line that will live in infamy. Historians are going to write about the way Donald Trump responded to the rambling meanderings of President Joe Biden 1 year ago today.
What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
and look, the facial expressions said it all, because Biden just looked totally baffled, and Trump just looked at him, cocking his head like somebody was blowing one of those dog whistles, and Trump was like, what the heck are you doing? What are you saying? What are you babbling about? And that was the beginning of the end for Joe Biden in terms of his candidacy. That was when even Democrats said, you got to go. And then they made the last-ditch effort. And I said it, I hate to brag. Who was the guy who told you for a year there's no way Joe Biden will end up on the ticket? And I had all my friends saying, oh, Mike, you're crazy. Mark Davis in Dallas, what do you mean? How's that going to happen? That can't happen. What do you think he's going to do, step aside? What are they going to do, remove him? I can still hear Mark mocking me. What are they going to do, drag him out? with him hanging on to the Resolute desk by his fingernails. I said, Mark, take it to the bank. There's no way they can afford to keep Biden on the ticket. He'll lose in a landslide. And I was right. How about this winning, huh? Isn't this great news? A major, major victory on the issue of birthright citizenship as the Supreme Court is curbing these nationwide injunctions. Bet you there's a lot of federal judges who are sweating bullets right now. Gosh, this is great news. 800-655-MIKE. I was seeing a lot of hate for Democrat Senator Kirsten Gillibrand last night on social media, and I couldn't figure out what it was about. And I looked into it, and it has to do with her shock and mortification at New York City mayoral hopeful Zohran Mamdani's primary victory. Now, this is a Democrat and a prominent Trump-hating Democrat. This is Kirsten Gillibrand, U.S. Senator from New York. And this is what progressives and Mamdani supporters are angry about. Here she was on WNYC in New York City.
As a leader of a city as diverse as New York City, with 8 million people, as the largest Jewish population in the country, he should denounce it. And that's it. Period. And you can't celebrate it, you can't value it, you can't lift it up. And that is the challenge that Jewish New Yorkers have had, certainly since October 6th. October 7th. It is exactly what they have felt. It is why Jewish students in our universities have felt unsafe. It is why Jewish students have felt that their schools did not have their backs and cared about them or their learning, because the people doing these protests use words that have meanings that are far more violent and horrific than they may have intended. But when you hear things like intifada, when you hear things like jihad, when you hear from the river to the sea, it is received as slaughter the Jews and destroy Israel. Period. It's how it's received.
Well, of course she's right. And Mamdani's weak defense, his pathetic excuse, well, people interpret intifada as different ways. People interpret from the river to the... She's right. It means slaughter the Jews, and this guy won't denounce it. He believes in it. Of course it's what he feels. Of course it's how he feels. This is a guy who hates Jews. This is an anti-Semite. And the reason I'm so exercised about this is if he were to win, America's most prominent city will justify Jew hatred. Anti-Semitism will be normalized on a terrifying scale. And that's what's so awful about this guy's presence on this stage. I mean, forget all the other crap he believes. Do you know he thinks violence, real violence, committed against law-abiding citizens is an artificial construct? Oh, you got to hear this. You got to see this. Check this out.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
Whoa, yes. Calling a burglary violent is artificial. You know, it ain't artificial if you get punched in the nose, buddy. Artificial. Larry Kudlow believes that Eric Adams would clobber Mamdani, but only if Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa drop out. Well, you know, now it's being reported that Cuomo isn't going anywhere. And if he stays in the race, it's only going to be for one reason. It's only going to be to stick it to New York. They don't want him. They've rejected him. He's disgraced. He's scandalized. People hate the guy. And if he stays in the race, he's only doing it to deliver Mamdani to New York. He'll go down as one of the most diabolical figures in American history. 800-655-MIKE.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.